Hey guys, Dan here, and I just wanted to talk about the state of melee combat in PoE2. Now, I know we've all been playing the game a bit and we've all got fair bits of criticism, and the most things that are being talked about right now are the state of the end game and stat stacking and these very specific things. But a thing that I've not seen enough context or discussion around is the state of melee, and I want to take this video and take the time in this video to kind of go through my thoughts of why melee is where it is and what caused that, and how we can do some improvements to melee combat and some general improvements. So I've got a bit of an overview here. I'm just going to do the old classic Microsoft Paint and to go through this. So from some of the previous, so let's start with point one. From some of the previous videos that I've seen with Jonathan Rogers and some other people in the PoE or GGG design groups, they were talking about basically making PoE2 because melee was bad in PoE1. So they did a lot of improvements to try and get melee to feel good. And I think this has led to us the current state of melee, because it is superior than PoE1 melee. And the example for that I have to take with this is that because it's based around the click to move scheme. It's the cursor move scheme. Now, I'm playing WASD here, but as you can see, most of my skills, they are click to move. They move towards your cursor pointer. In PoE1, that didn't happen. You just either walked to the target and then executed your attack, or you had, I mean, everyone did cast on, cast without moving. So then it would just stay in the spot, and you'd end up missing targets all the time. You had to walk up very close to them. And the way that we went around this issue is by adding melee strike range. Now, that didn't feel very good because you're standing at the offside of the screen and then you're hitting something from a distance. So I think that was the philosophy of them trying to improve combat in PoE2. And we can see this quite clearly in a skill like Bone Shatter. It's got a very long sort of movement towards the target to try and hit the target so that it feels like I'm actually slapping him on the head when the attack is happening. So that's why we got to where we are, and this is also very apparent in the monk as the other melee class that we've currently got. I have a monk here. It's only level 16, but I think I've got enough of an understanding as to why this work on how this works and why it works on the monk. I'm in the Vestiria outskirts here. Bear with me as I'm loading in. So we have WASD movement, and then when you use a skill, for example, the first skill you get, which is Falling Thunder, it has this little movement towards the cursor that they've done. And if I go further, it goes further. It's not enough, but it's a little bit. Especially noticeable with Ice Strike and Tempest Flurry, for example, moves towards your cursor all the time. Ice Strike's got the added benefit that it also jumps to a target. So Ice Strike actually feels good as a skill, and Tempest Flurry feels good as a skill because they actually move you towards the target a bit better, and they don't completely lose control of your character. So melee strikes feel a bit bad. Now, the worst offenders obviously are Sunder, Perfect Strike, any of these long charging skills that take forever to go off with this built-in 1.4 seconds of extra time. Now, I think those would still be fine when the combat is based around click to move, which make it a new character. When the combat is still based around click to move, because then a cast of a ranger, or a cast or an arrow attack of a ranger, or a cast of a Sork's spark would mean that they would stand still in place. So all of their skills would make them stand still in place. So the way that we got around that in PoE1 to make it smoother is stack a boatload of cast speed. And then somewhere last year, they decided to do this. They got the mercenary out and they put WASD controls in there. It's like, now we can shoot whilst moving towards the cursor. That opened up a whole load of design space. And to the bettering of the game, let's be honest, WASD, phenomenal movement scheme, works really well with caster move skills. But with the current end game that we had, it works so well that it is the far superior movement scheme, and that any skill that has no capability of being cast whilst moving falls behind tremendously. So what are PoE2 players going to do, or PoE players in general, is they will find out the skill that does the highest amount of AoE damage whilst being able to move at the same time. Forget anything else, because this is the only way that we can clear the scheme. And so they started porting over these skills, right? Spark comes over, all these other cast skills, Ranger moves over, the Witch, all of that moves over. And for the melee classes, they kind of lag behind. The only skills that are really moving over that I can consider as an attack is the raised shield skill, which was built around WASD. So they added these skills in later. They were completely built around WASD. Now this skill does no damage, but it feels good to move around. And if you've ever done a trial of the Sekma and you've got raised shield, you can just literally block the projectiles and flame walls and anything with your shield in the right direction. Give that a try. It feels great, right? So that's a good skill. And the only other skills that we've got are your war cries, because they're basically a cast, and Hammer of the Gods, which is basically a cast. If I were to cast Sunder, I can't move. I'm stuck in for, and what's the attack time on this? 1.9 seconds. I'm going to get stunned. I'm going to be terrible skills. So WASD screwed over the warrior, screwed over these skills, especially if the warrior is based around these heavy hitting skills. They're not going to feel great. Now we have these other heavy hitting skills on other classes, like the Sorceress, Comet, and the other shock skill. I can't remember what it's called, and that have a sort of backwards movement built into the skill, and they have this additive 1 second. So I originally think that combat was designed around these. WASDs come in. These skills have not had the treatment to port because they were based around click to move, stand still to cast gameplay, which is where they work. And now we got high movement WASD gameplay where they don't work. So how do we fix that? Well, I'm probably going to draw up a little thing as to see that a thing that I think should change with any of these melee skills that have this sort of click to move or stand still aspect to it. Moving, WASD movement is good. Any skill that is either click to move that doesn't move you fast enough, like the Monk's Frost Attack, Ice Strike, are not good. And any skill that forces you to stand still in place for the longest period of time before you're able to execute the cast do not work. They don't feel good. So how do we get those to work with WASD controls? And how they work with point and click, I don't think they should or care about it. I think WASD is the superior movement scheme. So let's try to see what my thoughts are on how to make them work. So let's take an attack. So even in PoE 1 and PoE 2, they follow a similar structure. So if we have a timeline of your attack, where this is the start, that's the start, and that's the finish of your attack. The moment you click or click your skill, this point gets initiated, and the moment that you regain control of your character is when I consider it finished. And that it goes through 3 stages. There's the wind up of the attack, that takes a specific portion. Then there's the hit portion of the attack, and then we have a backswing portion of the attack. So that is the whole attack. Any attack that does something to your character that either freezes you in place or moves you, like gives you complete loss of your character without any sort of sensible movement, or takes a very long time. In the case of Bone Shatter, it takes a long time. It moves you in one direction. It doesn't feel good. It's because of this reason. And I think that portion of where you can't move or it does something forced with the attack should only ever occur in this middle bit when you're doing the hit. During the wind up and backswing part of the attack, you should have full control of your character at any given point. So let's take Sunder for example. Sunder locks us in complete position. We have this giant swing that we're doing. Then we jump into the air, we hit, and then it has a particular little bit of backswing. I don't think backswing of Sunder is that bad. This is particularly bad at Bone Shatter. I'll show you what I mean in a second. What I think should happen is that in the wind up of Sunder, this bit where you're doing the big swing, you should just have full WASD control to move. And maybe even that it is a 100% movement, 0% movement, and it goes like this. Towards no movement before we go into the jump and do the attack. That way, I cast my Sunder, I could still move before my hit comes, so that initial period when nothing is happening, I can dodge things, I can move around, I can, you know, rope-a-dope them. Then I do the hit, and then I regain full movement speed again. That would make Sunder feel a lot better. Obviously, shorten the cast time a little bit, but it can be a big hit because I'm winding it up. I have full control. I hit the hit portion. I don't have control. That's fine because I'm slowly moving. I can see that I'm going to do the hit because my control of my character goes down. I hit it. I can move again. Now, similar thing should happen to Bone Shatter, for example. We have Bone Shatter here. Bone Shatter, it isn't. I've got no enemies here, but let's say that's the hit portion. There's quite a bit of. I've got some decent attack speed, but there's quite a bit of backswing there that I can't move my character in. It feels horrible. As soon as I've hit the target, or point whatever second after, give me control back of my character. And even in the swing up to it, and this one's got a very short lead up to it, give me a little bit more control at the beginning of my character, or steer it into this attack. So what do I mean with steer it into the attack? If that's my character and I'm moving this direction with WASD and the target that I'm hitting is here, and so my Bone Shatter would move me in that direction, don't just like make me go do that, do this. Make me step around a little bit. I don't know if it feels floaty or not. I haven't. This is pure speculation. And then if I keep pressing left, I should go this direction again. So let me just do the hit point, and then we go straight back out of it again. Get a nice little S-curve of how we're moving to hit the target. Now, I think the similar approach should be done to, for example, these long channeled skills that are not a channel. I'm continuously attacking the channel. No, I'm working up to a big hit. Perfect strike. This old bad boy, where is it? Everyone's favorite skill to hate. Locked into place is horrible. How long does it take? Like 3 seconds or something? Every stage that I gain, reduce my movement speed. Allow me to walk around, reduce the movement speed, and then I can slap it down. Simple fix to that skill. Very simple fix to that skill. Because I don't see the point. The legs could clearly be moving at this point. There's no weird rotational animation, as Molten Blast is a terrible one for that. Just give me movement speed of that skill should improve that feeling of that one as well. And the same with Perfect Strike. Give you a little bit movement, slow down into it. And a similar thing should happen to Comet and the other attack that feel better with Shock. It gives you a time to cast the Comet, because you now have movement. You're not locked in. You're not going to get. You can move backwards and then do the jump. Make it a bit more aggressive, maybe as a move skill in that jump, but it should improve it a lot. Similarly, some skills just need to be fully reworked. Like I know that everyone loves to hate Rolling Slam, but I think Rolling Slam is pretty good because you still have decent control over your character. It functions much in the same way as Tempest Flurry does. But maybe most people don't know that you have to hold the skill to be able to move it into the right direction, which is, they could do some improvements there. I don't think Rolling Slam is bad per se. As far as combat feel of it goes, I've used it to great effect for most other things. You can see it just moves around. So those are the things that I think they could definitely do to make Melee a lot better. And then it comes into my final point here that I've put down, which is like general WASD improvements. I think that the game went a bit too overboard by giving every skill that you can move WASD the movement, and I think there should be different levels of WASD movement. If every skill shoots at the same speed whilst walking at the same speed, the skill that does the most damage whilst walking will feel the best. So I think certain skills should give you more movement. I think other skills should give you less movement. I think certain skills should slow you down progressively. Some skills, like Comet, will lock you in at a certain point. That makes every skill feel like they're tactical in a certain spot. If every skill that is a WASD skill that could just be cast whilst moving can be staggered in a way that you almost get no movement penalty, like with Spark, and I can show you that skill is just going to feel the best. And there's no way you can balance around that, because if it can deal competitive damage whilst moving at that same speed, it's going to be a one button build. This is my Spark Archmage. I'll show you exactly what I mean with that. When I click and hold down Spark, my movement is pretty slow, and it could be fine, and maybe I still get hit, but you can do this. Because there's like a slowdown effect in the skill, and like this is ridiculous. Because of fast cast speed, I could just static or stagger click it. That skill is going to win out from me having to cast Comet for a long time. This is the movement that's built in Comet. It doesn't feel good. If I can move into Comet and then position myself, it's also not retargetable, which is a problem with these skills in particular. But if I can move myself and then cast it versus something that does not a lot of damage, but I can use it whilst moving, every skill is a different position in the game. Right now, every skill has to be usable whilst moving at the speed of light, otherwise they fall behind. And that's not the right design space for this, I think. I think there should be skills that do trickle damage as you move so that you can build something up. I'm not saying build up a resource and spend it, but maybe I'll try to get a shock on with this skill so that I can cast my long wind-up shock skill when I need to position myself in properly. That's where I think the level of WASD gameplay should be in. And currently this means that skills like Spark win. Skills that are Tempest Flurry or Frost Strike that have very short cast time, lots of mobility, decent damage, they win. They win. And none of these heavy hitting skills have any place in the current state of PoE. So I hope that PoE or GGG sees this and or knows this problem already and starts doing something with it. But what are your thoughts on this problem? If you have any, just leave a comment, and hopefully we can start a bit of a discussion around this. And yeah, let me know. And thanks for watching.